Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about my Marvel Multiverse role-playing game. And what I'm going to tell you about today is the Batgirl Zatanna arc. All right. So I'm continuing with the same campaign I started when the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game came out, and this is part of a playlist. Now, this is the beginning of an arc. You don't need to listen to the rest of the playlist to understand the story here. But you're more than welcome to go back in the playlist and listen to all of it and see where we're at, right? But I'll catch you up right now. So right now, the heroes are, at the beginning of the session, are Joe Fixit and Felix the Cat. Felix the Cat, is that right? Yes. My brave player who runs Joe Fixit, he had a friend, and he talked up the game to his friend, and his friend's like, I would be interested in playing, but what I really love is, American traditional animation, right? So he really was into this character, Felix the Cat. I didn't even know who Felix the Cat was, but this epic player who came in, brought in by the brave player, said, I would really like to run Felix the Cat. And I was like, hey, that sounds great. And then I did my homework and figured out who Felix the Cat was. And so Felix the Cat is this really wonderful American animation character. He had his own show. He's had a movie, but really classic American animation in the style of Looney Tunes, but not from the source Looney Tunes, right? Felix the Cat is really kind of an independent cartoon character. And his ability is he has this magic bag, and he can pull anything out of the magic bag. And he's this happy-go-lucky cat who can talk, but he can pull anything out of this bag. And so he functions very much like a superhero, right? And so Felix the Cat is helping Joe Fixit. Now, Joe Fixit, if you are not aware, it's Peter David's Hulk. And he was the enforcer for Mr. Manganiello at a casino, and he's very unique. He kind of has like a Goodfellas look to him, and very unusual Hulk, right? Joe Fixit and Felix the Cat are on Earth 616, and Namor attacks the west coast of the United States of America, right? And he takes over all of the states on the western coast of the United States of America and gives them to his Atlantean friends, right? It gives them to his Atlantean citizens, right? And says, hey, this is all ours now. And actually displace, and then says all Americans who are currently living in these states must relocate to states that are not on the West Coast, and any other Americans who would like to come to the western states will actually receive you, and we're going to divvy up this property between you and the Atlanteans, right? So Namor is specifically causing chaos and taking, but more importantly, taking land in America, right? So Joe Fixit and Felix the Cat get involved. And what they do is they link up with the X-Men, and Forge says, this is a terrible situation. The X-Men have been attempting to defeat Namor, but Namor's too strong right now. And I think our time will be best served trying to help these people who are being displaced, because there's a lot of death and chaos and fires and harm. And what we could do is we can take these West Coast refugees and allow them to immediately leave to a new world. And so, Joe Fixit and Felix the Cat says, new world, what are you talking about? And Forge explains that he's found Earth 1, which is the DC universe, and that they've found this superhero there named Batman, who they believe will help displace and will help place all these Earth 616 refugees on Earth 1, right? So Joe Fixit and Felix the Cat help Forge and the X-Men to open these portals to Earth 1, and they go across, right? And they're able to bring, so they go across, and working with the X-Men, Joe Fixit and Felix the Cat are able to organize enough um, of this aid to display to bring over 30,000 people from the from the West Coast, Earth 616, to these large tracts of land near Gotham City, right? And very, very and so they've been very helpful, right? So that's the beginning of this session. Okay, so what happens at that point, right? So at that point, Joe Fixit decides to go back to Earth 616. Okay, now what's really happening is the brave player is saying, hey, I've seen a great full arc with the Joe Fixit character, but there's so many amazing heroes in the Marvel role-playing game. I want to run a new character, and he decides to run Thor, right? So I have Joe Fixit return to Earth 616, and that leaves Felix by himself alone, Felix the cat by himself alone on Earth 1, right? So Felix the cat is making his home at Wayne Manor. Batman has said, hey, I have this guy I trust. His name is Bruce Wayne. Stay in Wayne Manor, and and you can continue to help refugees as they make their way from Earth 616 to Earth 1, right? So Felix the cat is by himself, and he's at Wayne Manor, and guess who comes to see him? Dick Grayson, right? But he's not, and I always say Dick Grayson because I always think of Dick Grayson when I think of Nightwing, but he comes in the form of Nightwing. He uses his secret identity, and he comes as Nightwing. And he says, listen, Felix, I know you're not from Earth 616, you're from a world beyond that, but you have been able to, merge our world with Earth, to merge Earth 1 with Earth 616. And he doesn't say it, but the DC world and the Marvel world, right? But he says Earth 1 and Earth 616, right? So, and he says, so listen, you've done a great job, but I want to start formal diplomacy, right? And so Nightwing is like, I want to get the four leaders of your world and the four leaders of Earth 616. So the President of the United States for all of the Americas, the President of France for all of Europe, the President of India for all of Asia, and the President of Zimbabwe for all of Africa on Earth 616 side, and they're going to meet the exact counterparts on the Earth 1 side, right? And I'm going to be there representing, Earth 1, and I want you to be there to represent Earth 616. Would you be willing to do this, Felix the cat? And so the epic player says, yes, with his player character, Felix the cat, yes, I'll do that with you, okay? So at this point, the four leaders, or, world leaders from each side gather together, and then the Justice League comes to represent, to join the world leaders of Earth 1, and the Avengers come to join the leaders of Earth 616, and at that point we have actually all of the Avengers line up near the world leaders, and then Thor makes this really dramatic entrance, and hammer falls down, and falls between Captain America and Scarlet Witch, right? Making his entrance, right? And then at that point, all of the world leaders from Earth 616 say hello to all the world leaders of Earth 1, and then at that point, Thor comes forward and shakes hands with Green Lantern. Batman shakes hands with Captain America, and official diplomacy starts between the two worlds. And that was just one segment of our first session, but that's a good place to kind of break off the story. I'm incredibly blessed. We had a really good session, and this was just part of it, but I wanted to just get this story out while I could. And the one thing I wanted to say is I just continue to be absolutely flabbergasted at the incredible flexibility, the incredible power of the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game system. It really is fantastic. It is extremely flexible. And I think I'm going on. I think this was like session 8, right? So, you know, having been run with in this one campaign, and also to be clear, when we're, you know, using these DC heroes, I have we have a list of DC heroes that we've built out for the game, and you can find the link for that in the description below, which is extremely exciting. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Really having a blast with this, with the session, and just really enjoying, you know, the game overall. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up on where, you know, on what's happening there. I'd love to, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you would handle a game that included both Marvel heroes and DC heroes. Thank you very much for letting me share my field report with you. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.